The world of modern celebrity culture is driven by a restless desire for attention, a constant dance where every stage performance, every public appearance, and every cryptic social media update is meticulously crafted to spark a conversation. In this neon-lit arena, few figures have mastered the art of generating headlines and controlling a narrative quite like Katy Perry. For over a decade and a half, she has remained a prominent fixture in global pop music, known not just for her chart-topping anthems, but also for an uncanny ability to turn her personal life into public spectacle. This weekend, beneath the stormy skies of northern Spain, at the massive O Son du Camino festival, thousands of roaring fans witnessed something that went far beyond a standard concert set list. The atmosphere was already electric, thick with the damp heat of early summer and the collective anticipation of an international crowd gathered to see one of the biggest pop icons of the 21st century. As the driving electronic beat of her hit song Never Really Over filled the festival grounds, sending waves of energy through the sea of spectators. The performance suddenly shifted from a musical celebration into an elaborate piece of performance art. The massive high-definition screens framing the stage flickered, transitioning away from the colorful, surreal visuals that typically define her artistic aesthetic. Instead, the audience was confronted with an enormous, hyper-realistic graphic of a smartphone interface dominating the entire backdrop. It was a visual choice that immediately commanded attention, instantly shifting the focus from the upbeat rhythm of the track to an impending revelation. This giant virtual screen began to display incoming calls, complete with familiar initials and contact names that sent an immediate shockwave of recognition through the crowd. In that singular, tense moment, the boundary between a pop star's private history and her public persona dissolved entirely on stage. To understand the sheer weight of what was unfolding in front of those festival-goers, one must look at how Katy Perry has historically utilized her art to process her real-world experiences. She has never been an artist who shies away from vulnerability, often weaving the threads of her highly publicized romances, heartbreaks, and personal triumphs directly into the fabric of her discography. Yet, what happened during this particular rendition of Never Really Over felt distinctly different, sharper, and far more calculated than a simple metaphorical song lyric. The track itself, a critically acclaimed piece of synth-pop that explores the inescapable, cyclical nature of past relationships, provided the absolute perfect thematic backdrop for what was about to transpire. As she sang about the lingering ghosts of old flames and the difficulty of truly moving on, the giant screen behind her began to systematically bring those exact ghosts to life in real time. It was a theatrical ritual of public acknowledgement and immediate rejection, executed with the flawless precision of a seasoned entertainer who knows exactly how to manipulate the media landscape. Each incoming call represented a distinct chapter of her highly scrutinized romantic past, a roll call of famous names that have filled supermarket tabloids and entertainment blogs for years. As each name flashed on the screen, the singer, with a theatrical flourish and a knowing smirk, reached out to physically swipe the air, mimicking the motion of declining a call on an actual phone. This simple, repetitive gesture carried an immense narrative weight, effectively rewriting her own history in front of an audience of tens of thousands of cheering fans who hung on her every movement. The crowd's reaction was an immediate mix of collective gasps, frantic whispering, and a literal forest of smartphones rising into the air as fans scrambled to document this unexpected pop culture moment. There is an inherent thrill in witnessing a global celebrity address their personal life so directly, especially when it is done with such a bold sense of irony and theatrical flair. It felt as though the audience was being granted access to a private, late-night clearing of grievances, transformed into a stadium-sized entertainment product. This performance was not just a musical number. It was a carefully synchronized digital narrative that relied heavily on the audience's pre-existing knowledge of her personal timeline. For years, the media has dissected every detail of her high-profile attachments, analyzing every lyric for hidden meanings and tracking every public sighting with relentless scrutiny. By taking control of these narratives on her own terms and converting them into a giant, interactive stage prop, she effectively flipped the script on the paparazzi and the gossip industry. Instead of being the subject of speculation, she became the director of her own romantic retrospective, inviting the audience to laugh along with her as she systematically locked the doors to her past. This calculated transparency is precisely what keeps her audience so fiercely loyal. creating a powerful sense of intimacy that makes fans feel like trusted confidants in her ongoing life story as the giant digital phone continued to ring out into the night. The sequence of initials appearing on the screen became a fascinating puzzle for the audience to solve in real time, sparking an instant debate that would soon consume the internet. If you are enjoying this deep dive into the fascinating world of pop culture history and the hidden meanings behind the biggest celebrity moments, please take a brief moment to support our channel by subscribing, liking this broadcast, and hitting the notification bell so you never miss an update. This incredible spectacle in Spain was merely the opening salvo in a much larger story, a theatrical demonstration of closure that left everyone wondering what could have possibly motivated such a public display. The sheer theatricality of the moment raised profound questions about the nature of modern celebrity, the enduring impact of past relationships, and the lengths to which an artist will go to assert control over their own identity. As the final notes of the song began to fade and the digital phone prepared to reveal its final, most shocking contact, the true depth of the situation became clear. This was not just a playful concert gimmick, it was a definitive statement, a line drawn in the sand that separated who she used to be from who she has become today. The intricate details of this unfolding digital drama, the identities of those rejected callers, and the surprising twist that left social media completely divided will all be fully explored as we continue this report. The sheer scale of the spectacle at the festival in Spain became truly apparent as the specific names and initials began to materialize on that massive glowing virtual smartphone, shifting the performance from a general commentary on heartbreak into a highly specific, deeply personal confrontation with the past. The first major wave of recognition swept through the audience when the initials for Diplo appeared, a visual cue that immediately transports her to longtime fans back to a brief but intensely scrutinized period in the year 2014. Though many casual observers had long forgotten that the pop superstar and the world-renowned electronic music producer were ever an item, the public record of their whirlwind romance remains etched in Hollywood history. Their relationship was characterized by the frantic pace of two global icons operating at the absolute peak of their respective careers, culminating in a highly publicized appearance at the Met Gala the following year. In that iconic archive imagery, they seemed visually separated by fashion designer Jeremy Scott and the legendary Madonna, a striking image that perfectly encapsulated the crowded, chaotic, and heavily mediated nature of their time together. By publicly rejecting his virtual call on stage a full decade later, she did more than just deliver a playful jab. She effectively dismissed a chapter of her life that was defined by the relentless, exhausting glare of the fashion and music industry elite, reclaiming her own narrative space in front of thousands of screaming onlookers, as the crowd was still processing the sudden resurfacing of that mid-2010s romance. The giant digital interface transitioned to a name that carries an even heavier weight in the annals of modern pop music history. The letters representing John Mayer flashed across the screen, sending an instantaneous tremor of excitement and tension through the festival grounds. Their relationship, which dominated headlines around 2013, was a tumultuous and deeply passionate creative partnership that fascinated millions of fans worldwide. It was an era defined by collaborative music, intense emotional public statements, and a level of media scrutiny that few couples could ever hope to survive. John Mayer, known equally for his immense musical virtuosity and his complicated romantic history, has frequently been the subject of intense speculation within the pop landscape, making his inclusion in this public stage ritual particularly explosive. By executing a theatrical swipe to decline his income call, she created a moment of profound irony, addressing a relationship that inspired an entire era of her songwriting with a gesture of complete unbothered finality. The audience cheered wildly at this display of ultimate independence, recognizing the immense personal evolution required to look back at such a defining, emotionally charged period of one's youth and reduce it to a comedic concert gimmick. The tension within the stadium reached its absolute zenith, however, when the initials representing Orlando Bloom emerged on the screen, causing a collective intake of breath from every single person in attendance. This was not a distant, forgotten fling or a brief creative romance from a previous decade. This was a relationship of monumental proportions that had spanned nearly 9 years, involved a highly publicized engagement, and resulted in the birth of a child. The Hollywood actor and the pop princess had been widely regarded as one of the most enduring, if occasionally turbulent, power couples in the entertainment industry. making their split the previous year an event that sent shockwaves through global media. To see his name included on a list of rejected exes was a stunning development that instantly elevated the emotional stakes of the entire performance. The giant screen portrayed his virtual call ringing out into the night, creating an almost palpable sense of drama as the audience watched her publicly distance herself from a man who had been the central anchor of her personal life for nearly a decade. This particular rejection felt less like a playful joke and far more like a raw, defiant declaration of a clean break. A visual manifestation of a woman completely stepping away from the long shadow of a major life partnership to stand entirely on her own 2 feet. This dramatic sequence of public rejections did not just stay confined to the festival grounds in Spain. It instantly exploded across the digital universe, igniting a fierce and ongoing debate across every major social media platform. Within minutes of the performance concluding, video clips captured by front-row spectators began circulating wildly on the internet, racking up millions of views and triggering thousands of analytical comments from fans and cultural commentators alike. The digital community was instantly divided in its reaction to this unprecedented display of public closure. On one hand, legions of dedicated fans praised the pop star for her immense bravery, her wicked sense of humor, and her willingness to completely subvert the traditional celebrity narrative by turning her own romantic history into a source of empowerment and entertainment. They viewed the giant iPhone performance as a masterclass in pop staging, an ultimate expression of moving forward and leaving the ghosts of the past exactly where they belong. On the other hand, a significant wave of criticism emerged from skeptics who questioned the necessity of such a public call-out, with some arguing that dragging decades of past relationships onto a festival stage felt unnecessary, particularly when dealing with long-term partnerships that involved shared families and deep history. This polarizing online discourse only added to the immense gravity of the moment, proving once again that whatever this pop icon chooses to do, it will inevitably cause a massive commotion that commands the attention of the entire world. The internet became a digital battlefield of opinions, with users dissecting the chronological order of the calls, analyzing the specific body language of the singer as she rejected each initial, and debating the underlying emotional state that would prompt an artist to design such a complex stage prop. The absence of certain historical figures from her past, such as her former husband, was also heavily noted and discussed, with many concluding that the deliberate omission of certain names was perhaps a strategic choice to avoid reopening old wounds that were far too deep for a light-hearted pop performance. Every single detail of the stage presentation was subjected to an intense level of forensic analysis by the online public, transforming a singular concert track into a massive, multi-layered cultural event. Yet, just as the audience and the digital world felt they had fully grasped the scope of this romantic retrospective, the giant smartphone interface prepared to deliver one final, completely unexpected twist that would leave everyone utterly bewildered, a revelation that would shift the entire narrative into a bizarre new territory and change the meaning of the entire performance. The culmination of this extraordinary musical ritual arrived when the giant digital smartphone interface, having systematically dismissed the prominent figures of her romantic history, prepared to deliver its final, most jaw-dropping revelation. Just as the audience believed they had witnessed the full extent of the pop star's theatrical audacity, the screen flashed once more, displaying the mysterious initials JPJT accompanied by an array of digital hearts and affectionate symbols. This sudden shift from cold rejection to a warm public embrace of a new chapter sent an immediate shockwave of curiosity through the festival crowd and the broader online community, as everyone scrambled to decode the hidden identity behind the letters. The revelation that these initials stood for Justin Pierre James Trudeau, the high-profile global political figure turned international media personality, transformed the entire performance from a retrospective into an explosive contemporary headline. It was a twist that practically nobody in the entertainment world could have anticipated, instantly redefining her current public narrative and introducing an element of surreal romance that completely captured the global imagination. By concluding an elaborate stadium-sized purging of her past with such a direct, unapologetic tribute to her new partner, she managed to completely reshape the conversation surrounding her personal life on her own spectacular terms. This sudden and highly public acknowledgement of her relationship with such a prominent global figure offers a fascinating glimpse into the eye Incredible journey of a pop star who has lived her entire adult life under the relentless glare of the international media spotlight. From her early days as a rising artist striving to find her unique voice in a competitive industry, to her current status as an enduring cultural institution, her path has been defined by an unyielding determination to control her own destiny. Her journey through fame has been a complex tapestry of monumental professional achievements, highly publicized heartbreaks, and continuous artistic reinventions that have kept her at the very forefront of global pop culture for nearly 2 decades. This latest performance in Spain serves as a profound testament to that ongoing evolution, demonstrating a woman who is no longer content to merely react to the narratives created by tabloids and gossip blogs. Instead, by integrating her real-world romances directly into her stage production, she effectively neutralized the power of media speculation, transforming her personal triumphs and private vulnerabilities into a shared, empowering experience for millions of dedicated fans worldwide. It is a bold, uncompromising approach to celebrity that proves she remains an absolute master of modern entertainment, capable of turning a routine festival set into a historic pop culture milestone. The immense cultural significance of this performance extends far beyond the immediate shock value of the celebrity names displayed on that massive screen, tapping into a much deeper conversation about how we view modern relationships, privacy, and public closure. In an era where every individual's personal history is documented, archived, and constantly scrutinized through the lens of social media, her theatrical rejection of her exes resonated deeply with a generation that intimately understands the difficulty of truly moving on from the past. By visualizing the act of cutting ties as a simple, definitive swipe on a giant smartphone, she created a universal metaphor for personal liberation and self-care that transcended the specific details of her Hollywood romance timeline. The inclusion of her current partner as the final celebrated contact provided a powerful sense of narrative resolution, illustrating the beautiful possibility of finding genuine happiness and emotional stability after enduring years of highly publicized trial and error. It was a moment of profound artistic triumph that reframed her entire past not as a series of failures but as necessary, foundational stepping stones that ultimately led her to a place of complete confidence and fulfillment in her present life. As the final, echoing notes of the performance reverberated through the Spanish night and the giant digital screen faded to black, the true impact of what had just transpired began to settle over the music industry and the millions of fans watching around the globe. This was not just a clever promotional stunt designed to generate temporary internet traffic. It was a definitive historical marker in the career of an artist who has consistently refused to play by the conventional rules of stardom. The performance successfully generated a massive, multi-layered discourse that challenged traditional notions of celebrity vulnerability, showing that it is entirely possible to maintain absolute ownership over one's personal story even while sharing it with tens of thousands of people in a public stadium. It left an indelible mark on everyone who witnessed it, providing an unforgettable mixture of high-stakes drama, wicked humor, and genuine human emotion that will undoubtedly be analyzed and discussed by cultural commentators for years to come. Ultimately, this unforgettable display at the festival proved that no matter how much time passes or how much the